Airplanes are a big fear for many. And for some, it doesn't make sense since they are not as dangerous as people think. But on the other end, you're suspended in a steel tube thousands of feet up in the air. If something did go wrong, there is nothing you can do. Okay, I hope that didn't persuade you to never go on a plane ever again. I'm your host Andrew, and here are the top 10 airplane scary urban legends. Number 10, Flight 401. In early 1973, Eastern Airlines Flight 401 crashed into the Florida Everglades. It was traveling from New York to Miami when all of a sudden the plane's autopilot feature was disabled, and eventually it would lose some altitude, eventually crashing. Although 75 people managed to survive, there were a total of 101 people who lost their lives, including Captain Robert Bob Loft and flight engineer Donald Repo. In the year that followed, stories swirled that flight crews, attendants, and passengers swore to see several sightings of Repo and sometimes briefly Captain Bob Loft on some Eastern planes. It was theorized they appeared to warn of impending problems in an effort to satisfy their guilt over their former fatal mistake. And one of the scariest things about the story is that one flight engineer reported that he was shocked after finding that he was sitting right beside Donald Repo after he passed away. Eventually, the ghost of Don would vanish out of thin air, but you could imagine what it would feel like sitting next to a ghost. If you ever happen to be flying on Eastern Airlines, keep these faces in mind. Maybe they'll be your captain one day. Number 9, Alaskan Triangle. Imagine the Bermuda Triangle, but cold and on land, and now we have the Alaskan Triangle. This is a piece of untouched wilderness where mystery lingers and the unknown spreads. This triangle connects from Alaska's largest city of Anchorage to Juneau in the southeast and Barrow in the north. Over the past 50 years, over 20,000 people and several planes have gone missing in this area. The mystery of the disappearance is inconclusive, but many of the surrounding indigenous tribes, including the Tling tribe, claim that restless demons and trickster spirits lure people to their icy death. Specifically, there is a shape-shifting demon called the Kushtaka, described to approach those who are lost or weak, and once your trust grows with them, they will drag you deeper into the wilderness and tear you limb for limb. Number 8, Flight 19 mystery. In 1945, the United States Navy sent a group of 5 torpedo bombers known as Flight 19 over the Bermuda Triangle for navigation training. As the bombers flew out over water, all 5 bomber planes would disappear along with all the 14 men on board. In one of the last radio messages received, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, the flight commander, reported, quote, "We are now entering white water. Nothing seems right. We don't know where we are. The water is green, no white." Some have speculated that aliens used the Bermuda Triangle as a portal to our planet, where they would capture some humans along with our technology to conduct further research on our species. This could be one of the reasons for the disappearance of Flight 19, but we'll never know if there's actually an interdimensional portal without going into it first. Number 7, planecrashinfo.com. As the title suggests, this website is all about plane crashes. First of all, condolences to those who lost their loved ones in a plane crash. In planecrashinfo.com, you can listen to the last words of airplane pilots and some of the passengers before fatal plane accidents. I went onto this website and found some of the most eerie recordings before a plane crash, and there are almost all types of airlines on this list, so best believe there is a plane company on this list that you flew with. Also on this site are some photos of the most fatal plane crashes in the world. I think the reason why we believe plane crashes are scary is because of the fact that we are not in control. We're relying our faith into the hands of the pilot at the end of the day. As well, it doesn't help that plane crashes are broadcasted all over the media forever just to show the horrors and scare people further. Number 6, D.B. Cooper. D.B. Cooper is one of the most infamous criminals in aviation history. On November 24, 1971, a nondescript man calling himself Dan Cooper bought a one-way ticket on Flight 305 from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. At 3 p.m., Cooper handed a flight receptionist a note stating that he had a bomb. Soon after, Cooper gave the captain of the plane a note demanding 4 parachutes and $200,000 in $20 bills. When the flight landed in Seattle, the hijacker exchanged the flight's 36 passengers for the money and parachutes. Cooper kept several crew members and the plane took off again. It was ordered to set a course for New Mexico. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno, a little after 8 p.m., the hijacker did what many people thought was impossible. He jumped out of the back of the plane with a parachute and the ransom money. The pilots landed safely as well, but Cooper had disappeared into the night. 51 years later, and the FBI still do not know what happened to D.B. Cooper after he jumped from the plane. Number 5, China's planes are advancing at an alarming rate. China is advancing their military very quickly after pouring in more and more money each year. Eventually, they'll have the strongest economy in the world, but Who knows when that'll happen or what will happen once their technology becomes that crazy. One of their military advancements includes the J-20 fighter jet, and it was made for the purpose to combat the American fighter plane, the F-22 Raptor, which is notorious for its stealth, speed, and agility. The J-20 is capable of reaching speeds up to 2,000 kilometers per hour, but they are not known for their speed. Instead, the Chinese emphasize the stealth component, making an effective long-range interceptor. They have currently built an arsenal at around 200 of these planes, which are all functional and ready to go out whenever they want. Number 4, Family Guy's connection to the Twin Towers. First of all, rest in peace to all those affected, but did you know that Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane was due to catch a flight that was destined to hit the Twin Towers, and his reason for being stopped was because he was hungover and overslept? Because I didn't even know about this, and I swear a lot of celebrities claim they just missed this tragedy, but this one is actually a little bit deeper than that. It was such an important event in Seth MacFarlane's life that fans thought that it was the direct inspiration for the film's plot of Stewie having a near-death experience. You would remember the scene where Stewie would get crushed by the falling lifeguard seat. This scene is peppered with snippets of dialogue that may or may not reference the falling towers, such as Stewie saying, well, quote, "Well then it seems like there's only one thing to do. I must ensure that I never had that close call with that lifeguard tower in the first place." The last line really stuck out to me because it's talking about how he didn't take the plane into this tragedy. Stewie's main goal in this episode was to go back in time to stop this tragedy. This moment could be attributed to the way Seth feels about missing the flight that was due to crashing into the Twin Towers. That mixed feeling of guilt and relief is one of those feelings that are very hard to deal with, which could have inspired that traumatic episode in the first place. Number 3, New Zealand Flight 901. This was the deadliest crash in New Zealand's history. In November 1979, Air New Zealand Flight 901 would fly right into Mount Erebus on Ross Island, Antarctica. This crash killed all 237 passengers and 20 crew on board. But instead of leaving them in the cold, the bodies were found kept at the McMurdo station nearby. Those who visit the base nowadays leave with the feeling of unease and discomfort, similar to the feeling that they're trespassing in a place that they're not wanted, feeling as though they're not alone, and seeing unknown footsteps in the snow. Number 2, a time vortex. In 1970, Floridan pilot Bruce Gurnon Jr., his father, and friend were flying towards Bimini Islands in the Bahamas. They noticed a rather unusual cloud to which he referred to as an electrical fog. This is where it becomes weirder. When they entered the fog, it became very dark and very quickly, resulting in little visibility. They would notice these bright white flashes getting progressively worse as they went further into the tunnel of smoke. Navigational tools such as their compasses would begin to malfunction by spinning around rapidly, similar to that of Christopher Columbus when he was around the same area. They would come to the quick conclusion that they needed to escape this fog, but once they did, air traffic control towers detected them over Miami Beach, which would be physically impossible as his last location was in the Gulf Stream, which was over 100 miles away, which would mean he would have to be traveling at nearly 2,000 miles per hour, which is just not possible. Could this mysterious fog be a time traveling portal? What do you guys think? Number 1, the Flying Dutchman. For those who don't know, cargo pilots often have to fly dead bodies. This one story had a particularly creepy experience. The pilot said, quote, "I flew a dead body in a body bag by myself at a night in Chieftain. The dead guy groaned and jerked pretty hard about 10 minutes into the flight. I had it strapped down, so I don't know how much it would have moved if not restrained. I just kind of muttered under my breath and looked over my shoulder for the rest of the 25-minute flight. Pretty sure it was just gases inside of the corpse, brought up by the pressure change from the ground to 3,000 feet up. But it was for sure freaky." Well, these are the top 10 airplane scary urban legends. What do you guys think about this list? Should we do more of these videos? Leave a comment down below. But don't forget to like and subscribe for some more scary content. I'm your host, Andrew, and I hope you guys have a great day.